Well, Glenn Ford blows me away every time he opens his mouth. He is so smart. And I'm almost at a loss of words, too, because look at where we are. We're at the Riverside Church. And during the time that I was in the Congress, I dedicated much of my activities to the life, but most importantly, the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so to be so warmly received at this place is particularly special to me. Today I woke up, and I have to tell you, I don't know if it was because I was tired or didn't get enough sleep, didn't go to sleep until 3 o'clock this morning, but I woke up with like death on my mind. And I guess that's appropriate because war equals death. And war also equals stolen lives. New York City has a lot of experience with stolen lives. From Amadou Diallo and those whose names we do not know, who came before him, to Sean Bell and those whose names we do not know, who came after him. All of their families and friends, an entire community and nation mourn senseless losses of life. Perhaps we are most familiar with the stolen lives as a result of police misconduct. We go inside the lives and families of individuals who knew and who are all victims. In a way, their solitary deaths make them come alive for us. I know that Oscar Grant could just as easily have been my son, and therefore he is my son, as all of the children are my children. And then there is the Native American gentleman of Seattle, Washington, the well-known wood carver, who was carrying a block of wood and a 3-inch whittling knife. The image was captured on the police officer's own camera. And the police officer told him, "Put the knife down, put the knife down, put the knife down." But the gentleman was both deaf and mute. And the gentleman paid with his life. There's another video that's on the internet. It's of a young 19-year-old who was in San Francisco. I saw the photograph, and he's lying in a pool of his own blood. He's dead from a gunshot wound. It appears that he might have shot himself when a police officer suspected that he had not paid his $2 transfer, and so told him to give him the proof of the transfer, and the young man, 19 years old, took off and started running. And now he's dead. And so despite whatever the information is about the death of this young 19-year-old, he's dead. His life, his future is stolen. But there are also other ways in which lives are stolen. Corporate or environmental disasters. For example, we saw what happened with Katrina. It did not have to happen. that so many lives were disrupted, that people lost their lives. It did not have to happen, but it did happen. Just with Katrina, people are now suffering and dying in a health crisis from the BP disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, there were some of us who warned that there were going to be health effects from cleaning up that environment there, but the government failed to inform the workers of the hazards, just like they failed the first responders right here in New York City on September 11th. I watched recordings of a beautiful Gulf of Mexico area resident who inexplicably began to break out, and then she became bloated, and then she died. And there are people right now in all of those Gulf states, from Texas all the way to Florida, who are dying because they have not been told the risks, just like people in Japan have not been told the risks from the nuclear fallout from Fukushima. They weren't even told the risks because the government is peddling nuclear production, nuclear power by the United States. Our own people in the western part of our country haven't been told the dangers from the fallout from Fukushima either. And we need to be taking some strong measures to protect ourselves as people are being tested and found positive for radioactive iodine and cesium. Stolen lives result from the use and abuse of drugs that cause this country to incarcerate so many people. But they incarcerate the ones who take the drugs or who use the drugs because their lives are desperate and they are sometimes without hope. But who gets punished when the government is responsible for trafficking the drugs? When the government creates even new drugs that didn't exist. The government trafficked in cocaine and created crack cocaine that devastated an entire community across this country. Every family has been touched by crack cocaine. Generations have suffered. Generations have had their lives stolen because of drugs. Max Kaiser reported on Russia Today that Warren Buffett's Wachovia, now Wells Fargo, based its entire existence on liquidity provided by the drug trade. But I don't see anybody questioning Warren Buffett or the CEOs of all of these banks who are laundering drug money. Another way that lives are stolen is when an economy is mismanaged such that money to kill people is plentiful, but dollars for education and to heal people and to feed and shelter and clothe people is scarce. This kind of mismanagement of a national economy steals lives from our country. It steals hope from people who need it the most. It steals opportunity from people who deserve it, and it steals a future from all of us. Wars, crimes against the peace, are perhaps the biggest crimes of all. How sad to be at Riverside Church today to stop yet another U.S. war. The news of NATO for today shows an organization in disarray. Look at how far they've come. In Kosovo and Serbia, Serbia is on fire today. Kosovo is recognized by 78 states, but not Serbia. NATO troops had to make a tactical retreat, but threatened to use force if blocked again by the people, who used their bodies, tires, and wood piles to block NATO from areas in Kosovo. NATO has to deal with the murder now of their chief Libyan military advisor, a gentleman by the name of Yunus. But the wires are reporting today that Yunus's son, as they lowered his body into the ground, yelled out, "We want Muammar to come back. We want the green flag back." And besides stealing the life from all of the 6 million people who live in Libya, NATO is also stealing life from all of the rest of Africa. NATO is stealing life from the Gambia to Congo, Brazzaville to Niger, Mauritania, the African Union, and Africans in the diaspora. Brother Akbar is absolutely right. We were there in January and February of this year because we had been called there for a conference of concern about the dignity of Africans in the diaspora, and that includes people right here in the United States. Are we able to live in dignity outside of Africa? And what Muammar Gaddafi and the people of Libya said is, if you cannot find dignity in your life abroad, then come back to Africa, and you can start by helping to rebuild Libya. So when NATO makes war on this small 6 million people of one country on the entire continent of Africa, they're making war on all of us. Stolen lives. I'm sick and tired of stolen lives. And I'm sick and tired of a government that would rather steal the life from the people it purports to serve than to serve the people. So I want to thank you all for being here. I thank you for your concern about the future of our country, the future of the people of Libya, the future of the people of this global community. We all have to live together. The last thing I would leave you with is this. We have the Congress and the President. They need to receive a message from us that we are sick and tired of war, that we are sick and